champions, welcome to another exciting class. And in this lesson we shall be learning an interesting topic called the trophic levels. So what is a trophic level? Trophic level is a level in a food pyramid or food chain. And the food pyramid usually shows how energy is transferred from one living thing to another in an ecosystem. So therefore, the trophic level is showing the position that living thing occupies in the food pyramid. And the food pyramid or food chain usually starts with a producer. It usually begins the first level, or the first trophic level is the producer. This is because the producers are able to make their own food using sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. They are able to make their own food, and this process of them making their food is called photosynthesis. And examples of the producers are grasses, flowers, algae, moss, trees, cactus, and so on. So living things that do not make their own food but they feed on all other living things are called consumers. They are not able to make their own food, but they feed on plants and animals. And so the different consumers are the primary consumers, secondary consumers, and the tertiary consumers. So they are divided into three: the primary, secondary, and tertiary consumers. The primary consumers feed on plants only. They feed on plants, which are the producers, and are called herbivores. They feed on plants only and are called herbivores. Examples are goat, panda, cow, rabbit, donkey, giraffe, camel, horse, hippo, elephant, deer, and so on. The secondary consumers are able to feed on plants and animals, and they are called omnivores, whereas there are some that feed on the primary consumers only and are called carnivores. The omnivores are those that feed on plants and animals, and they include dog, cat, crow, pig, hen, ant, squirrel, cockroach, peacock, and rat. The tertiary consumers are those animals that feed on other animals. They are usually bigger carnivores. They feed on animals only, and examples are eagle, wolverine, tiger, white dog, crocodile, great white shark, and so on. They feed on all other animals. So a food chain usually starts with the producer and continues to the consumer. The decomposer occupy a special place in the food pyramid because they are able to feed on other dead plants and animals. They feed on dead plants and animals. So a food chain starts with the producer, then the primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, while the decomposer occupy a special place. An example of decomposer could be mushroom or mold. And as energy passes through from one level to the other, energy is usually lost. This means that the energy is more at the producer level and less at the...
All of these relationships between different species are founded on one thing: energy. Organisms get food in order to get energy, which is used by the organism for growth, maintaining health, and reproduction. We can classify the members of a community according to how they obtain food. Producers produce their own food. Most producers use sunlight to perform photosynthesis in order to make sugar. The producer then breaks down the sugar, much in the same way as animals, to get energy. Plants, algae, and some bacteria are examples of producers. Consumers consume other organisms as food. Some consumers eat parts of an organism, such as leaves or fruit, while other consumers will eat a whole organism. All animals are consumers. Decomposers get their food from breaking down the matter in dead organisms or waste products. Decomposers ensure that the energy and nutrients that are locked in dead matter are recycled back into the environment. Fungi and most bacteria are examples of decomposers. All of these classifications can be used to generate a flowchart of energy from one group of organisms to another. This flowchart, also called a food chain, shows the flow of nutrients and energy between organisms. At the start of most food chains is the sun. The energy originates from the sun, and plants are able to convert the sun's energy into food that can be utilized by other members of the ecosystem. We can describe how close an organism is to this primary energy source with a hierarchy of levels called trophic levels. The first trophic level is made up of primary producers, the plants that produce their own food. Primary consumers make up the second trophic level. These are the herbivores, organisms that eat producers. The next trophic level consists of carnivores, also called secondary consumers, which are the organisms that eat primary consumers. There can be many more consumers in a community. It is not uncommon for smaller carnivores to be eaten by larger carnivores. These larger carnivores are called tertiary consumers. If a carnivore eats the tertiary consumer, it is called the quaternary consumer, and so on. Decomposers carry a special spot in the food chain. Because they obtain their nutrients by breaking down dead plant and animal matter, all other trophic levels in the food chain go to the decomposers. Combining up all of the food chains within a community, including producers, consumers, and decomposers, gives us a food web. Note that an ecosystem is nowhere near 100% efficient in its energy flow. Every time we move to a higher trophic level, only a small fraction of the energy is passed on and incorporated into the bodies of those organisms. This is called an energy pyramid.
So that's all for this lesson. Thanks for watching and see you in the next class. Bye.